Good Monday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you this Monday. Hope you've had a great start to the week. And I am joined by my brother, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor. So I've got a great start to the week. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. Nice sunny day in Atlanta. I think it hit about 65. Some of that weather you guys had over the
Yeah, I was
weekend.
going to say, we pushed it your direction.
Yeah, it's nice.
We're not sunny, though. We're cloudy. At least yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You guys had your fair
Winter's
share.
over, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Good.
Yeah. Except for those of us that are praying for water for our fields and our animals and all that stuff. Oh, it is a dry one. It is a dry one this year, bro. It is a dry one, no doubt. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. We do appreciate it. Let me tell you what we have lined up. We're going to run through today's stock market recap. Not an exciting day whatsoever. Pretty good on the NASDAQ side and the S&P side. We closed at another record on the Dow, but the Dow was just an absolute snoozer today. But, hey, all we needed was a 1 point higher close than what we got on Friday, and we got that today. How about 20 points to be exact? So we'll tell you what was behind that. And then we're going to go back and we're going to finish the topic that Dennis and I started last week, which is how AI is shaping the financial world. And it's very ironic that I just picked up a story literally about 5 minutes before the show. I just shared it with Dennis, so poor guy's just trying to read it, of what happened today. I didn't get a chance to, as I was watching the Dow very closely, I see this weakness going on in Travelers, right? Travelers Insurance. Now, of course, they're a major Dow component, nearly a $300 stock. Finished down pretty, let me get a actual closing because I'm looking at after hours. Yeah, the regular session finished down $8.68. Just about where it is right now in the after hours, about a 2.88% loss to 292.82. But then it started to see other insurance-related stocks coming down. So it did some digging, and we're going to kind of start the show off with this because this ties into AI and finances. So I'm just going to jump right into this. So there's a trade publication called Insurance Information. The headline was they reported that OpenAI has authorized the first AI application from an insurance provider on ChatGPT. So did some further digging here. So Willis Towers Watson, obviously a major insurance player, finished down $39.95 today, 12.1% loss to $290.09. Arthur J. Gallagher down $23.84. 9.87% to 217.74. Did a little bit of digging, and I figured, well, if OpenAI, which of course is the parent of ChatGPT, approved this, why not ask ChatGPT, i.e. Hermano, as I call my ChatGPT buddy, what the heck this story means, because the headlines were very, very vague. So I want to kind of share this with everybody and tell you what Hermano said the story is all about and what's going on with him, because he's OpenAI or ChatGPT. So this is coming
part of the family.
He is part of the family. So listen to this. I mean, this is really coming with the saying, right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, so what is this story all about, Hermano? And he said, OpenAI. So listen closely, folks. This is going to change the way insurance is done from this point forward. OpenAI has approved the first insurance company built AI application inside of ChatGPT, meaning a real insurer can now offer personalized quotes directly in a ChatGPT conversation. That's according to the article that appeared on LinkedIn. The first version was developed by, I know I'm not pronouncing this right, it's TUIO, which is a Spanish digital insurer powered by Wanini AI distribution tech. Users can ask for a quote. Yeah, and see results inside of ChatGPT itself. Soon, he says, not just quotes, but policy purchases could be done entirely inside of ChatGPT. Now, he says, why does this matter? He says, this is a big deal for insurance and tech because, number one, insurance products, I know your brain's going, bro, insurance products can now be sold directly inside of AI chat, not just on a website or on an app. Number two, it's the first time an insurance provider, not just a broker or a third-party tool, is allowed to distribute products and take action inside of ChatGPT itself. Number three, consumers don't have to leave ChatGPT interface. That's a huge convenience shift and can pull lots of new customers into this channel. He said the market reaction, some insurance broker stock dipped today on the news, likely because this move could disintermediate middlemen, i.e. agents and brokers, if AI becomes a direct sales channel. Okay, I'm almost done. Why is this different from previous AI insurance usage? He said in the past, AI in insurance was mostly internal tools for underwriting or customer service, suggestions or insights from APIs, and not full product distribution inside an AI interface. This is different because now a consumer can have a quote and soon a purchase inside a chat GPT, not via email, not via phone, not on a separate portal. It's a sales pipeline embedded where people already talk to AI. So the key takeaway for normal people and investors, consumers, it's easier access to quotes. Insurers, it's a new distribution channel, less friction. Brokers and agents, potential pressure on commissions if AI becomes a first contact point. And investors, tech-enabled insurance distribution could reshape the industry. So how's that to kick the show off, Dennis?
Wow.
I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about, AI in the financial industry. I mean,
a lot of thoughts. The first thought was, how are they going to control the licensing aspect? Because that's a highly licensed industry where only licensed people can sell it. So how is that going to translate?
I got the answer to that one. That's an easy one to answer.
How's that?
Okay. Every one of these major insurance companies, I would assume, because they're all major, are licensed in all 50 states.
Okay.
There it is. They're not selling it through the agent or broker channel. Therefore, there are no agent or broker licenses needed.
Yeah.
Right? That's how that's done.
You're skipping the middleman then. You're going directly
100%.
to 100%.
Yep.
It'll probably speed up transactions, but oh my gosh, what a ripple effect in the industry.
Let me tell you how I experienced now 2 + 2 = 4. So about 3 or 4 months ago, I needed to pick up some more term insurance. And so I went online and I did it within a matter of 20 minutes. There was no underwriting. There was no nothing. In 20 minutes, I had a policy. Now, last week, we had a conference call with a very, very large insurance broker. So this is a firm down in Los Angeles that insurance companies like ourselves, or insurance advisors like ourselves, financial advisors, et cetera, we can go to this company and they make our lives really simple. This is why most financial advisors don't mess with insurance, because it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. This company got rid of all that. You can go to them and say, here's my client. What kind of insurance do you think they need? Term policy, permanent, you need whole life, long-term care, disability, whatever it is, right? So you as the advisor tell them, this is roughly what it is. They'll do a full analysis. They'll scan all of the hundreds of companies that they have selling agreements with. They'll come back and say, okay, based upon what your client's health and their needs, this is the best deal that is out there. Not always about price, but just the best overall deal. So now that just saved us, I can't tell you how many hours and hours of that. But here's where it got even better, bro, to tie into this story. The underwriting. And it's been years since I've written a life insurance policy. So I'm a little out of the tune. Well, here's what the gentleman that was leading our conference call said. He goes, we now can issue policies literally in matters of hours, if not days at the worst. And I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, how? His answer, AI. He said, now because of AI, we can go everywhere to learn about your client. There's a national database, which we all know, of course, regarding your medical records, anything and everything that's pretty much ever happened to you, any hospital visits, doctor visits, medications you're on. Now, because of AI, they can go to it in a split second. They then use, and he wouldn't go into more detail because I'm sure it's proprietary, but he says, we know everything about your client before we know it. He said, rarely anymore do we even have to send out what we call a paramed exam, which is where the insurance company would send out, you know this, you were insurance licensed, they send out a paramedic to do a blood test or urine or blah, 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 blah. Then the next process, which was, is this so painful? You have to ask your client, please gather all of your insurance records or give us the name, phone number of your primary doctor. Bro, you remember this. Good luck trying to get any doctor, much less a specialist primary doctor, to get back to an insurance company. It's like, that is at the bottom of my list. I'm making no money on this thing, so forget that. So it would take weeks, sometimes months, to get those medical records back. Not anymore. Because of AI, they can go get those records, like I said, in a matter of a couple minutes, if not hours. They then use that. They throw it into their AI model. They'll do a complete risk analysis and say, yep, this is a good insurance risk, or no, it's not. And that's how that policy that I got personally a few months ago was issued so fast. Isn't that incredible?
It is. You made a
except
great
unless
point.
you're an insurance agent or broker.
Well, so this is all about patterns, right? We're starting to see some patterns as these new solutions come into the market. You see kind of the activity happening at a lower level. Those transactions that are simple. You know, you're a 20-year-old person
Oh, you're
getting
being too
life
nice.
insurance. You know, easy. You can do it in sleep, right? There still is going to be the need as it gets more complex for people to get involved. There still will be a
Hmm.
difference, and you'll see how
Of
companies
course,
kind
more
of deal with
sophisticated
that.
cases.
But with insurance, if you remember, what they look at as an entire the group, as you belong to a certain group, like you said,
Hmm. Hmm.
and now with
A
AI,
band is the
they
term.
can look at these huge groups and with confidence say, we have so much data now, we can really be confident. It's not a
Mm,
small group. Now it's all, and that's what's changing from their
you're so right.
confidence level with the underwriting.
Yep, you're so right. That's 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 what's going on. The amazing part is again how fast it will be done.
Mhm.
But when you were saying a moment ago about where this whole thing is kind of going, I'm summarizing what you just said to start the conversation. So what I see is this. Let's go back to OpenAI, again, not a publicly traded company yet. IPO is expected this year. This is how you remember how we always keep saying, how are they going to make money, right? They charge $20 a person or
Mhm.
whatever, and there's corporate licenses. How are they really going to make money? I promise you, if I somehow got into the backdoor paperwork of, and we don't know what insurance company if they're starting just with one insurance company or if they've approved a bunch of them, but I promise you this, somehow, some way, they are getting a piece of the action in the back end. So they are now, quote, the insurance agent, no longer the human being. And that's how I think you're going to see them get involved in more and more deals. Remember that, what was it, Shopify deal they struck about a month or so ago? They get a piece of every time you hit your shopping cart or your checkout at your shopping cart.
You know that they are advertising now in the free version of ChatGPT. There is now
I saw that.
advertising.
Yes. Yep.
So
I've seen that.
another
Yep.
another revenue stream. I mean, they're
Absolutely.
trying everything. You put it all together,
Yes, they
it's
are.
starting to get real interesting.
Yep. You got it. Well, again, this ties in perfectly how AI is shaping the financial well-being.
Yeah.
When we come back, tell you what this market did. We'll hit the bond market, the commodities, and then we're going to get right into our topic because we want to finish this one up that we started last week. Joining me, of course, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor. Let us turn it over to Kristen Snow, right now, Traffic Center. Hello, Kristen. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk KOH with my brother, Dr. Dennis Sanchez. Joins us each and every Monday, of course, as we call it the AI time period.
AI
Man, oh man,
Monday.
so many things. AI Monday, where time period came from, but yeah, AI Monday. That's exactly right.
It was nice of
All
them
right.
to make that come out with that headline today for us
Right,
for the
right,
show
exactly.
today.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying
right.
to get
That's right.
everybody to work with this that way. So we have a lot to
You
talk
keep
about.
you keep pulling those big corporate strings, big boy. You keep pulling those corporate strings. I know you got to they go deep into Silicon Valley. All right, we will get back to our topic. Again, we kind of jumped into it because it ties so perfectly. Again, how is AI shaping the financial markets and planning and so on and so forth? Because we're all living at this point. So let's get back to the markets real quickly. What happened today? Like I said, a rather lackluster day on the downside. We just could not get anywhere. We dipped a little bit, a little over 100-point loss at our worst level right after the open, and came back, shot up 100, and then we just settled with a small gain of 20 on the Dow at 50,135. But again, after Friday's absolutely incredible market move. Again, 1,206 points on Friday on the Dow. Yeah, we'll take 20 points and call it good and call it a new record. Nasdaq, though, much better. 207-point gain, 0.90%. And the S&P 500 rose 33 points, 0.47%. Russell 2000, 8.70% increase. On the commodity side, pretty quiet on the oil side. 73-cent gain on oil, 64.33 a barrel. Gold starting to make some comebacks from last week, $98.50 gain, $5,078.50 an ounce. And I was thinking, bro, as I was jotting down my stats of where the bond yields closed, I'll tell you what, one profession I would not want to be in right now is a bond trader. These bond yields are they're going nowhere. They literally for months, they're going no. I don't know what these guys are doing because
That a lot of
most of those guys are,
patience.
well, they're all commission based, right? And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's trading any bonds, at least based upon what the yields are doing. Oh boy, that'd be a tough one right now. All right, let's go to some of the movers today that did move this market. So we had a little bit of what I'll call a little bit of bargain hunting going on today. Again, so many names were beat up last week. You had Apple Oven today, which was beat up again last week. So same with Oracle, same with Microsoft. Coming back a bit today, Apple Oven had a
Mhm.
heck of a move, up $53.66. Yeah, 13.19% gain to 460.38. Your buddy Larry Ellison, Dennis, Oracle bouncing back today, $13.79 gain, up 9.66%, 156.61. We want to mention they got an upgrade from a neutral rating to a buy at D.A. Davidson. They also put a new price target on the stock, about 180. So that was one of the best performers in the S&P today. Microsoft, I know you know this one near and dear. Vested interest, $12.58 rise, 3.13% to 413.72 after, again, a very difficult week. Moving things over to the semiconductors, they also pounced back today. The semiconductor index up about 1.4%. The likes of NVIDIA, 63-cent increase, 2.5% to 190.04. Broadcom, $11.02 gain, 3.31% to 343.94. Google was up $1.30, and Meta had a nice day. Big standout there in the consumer area, $15.91 rise on Meta, up 2.41% to 677.37. Tesla, $6.10 gain. Amazon, though, down $1.60. They were down $18 or so in the pre-market, if I remember right. About 208.72 was the close, and then those insurance stocks that I mentioned. Last thing I want to mention, bring you up to date in the healthcare sector. This is a very interesting story. Novo Nordisk finished up $1.73, 3.63% to 49.73. The company has filed a lawsuit against Hims and Hers, which lost 16.03% today, $3.69 give up to 19.33. The lawsuit is over its compounded version of Wegovy and Ozempic, which again coincides with a weekend FDA announcement targeting non-FDA approved GLP-1 drugs. I mean, Hims and Hers, that's how they make their money, right? They do the compound, which is basically they make their own version of it. And Novo Nordisk said, nope, not putting up with this anymore, and we're suing you. This morning, the lawsuit was pending. Now, as the day progressed, it looks like they have filed it. So I haven't seen the dollar amount that they're going after. But Hims and Hers, I should mention, also announced this morning that they're going to stop making the product. So that tells you something right there. Yeah.
They were advertising on the Super Bowl last night.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's what, that was the tipping point. Is it? That's enough.
Maybe that was
only 100 million people watching.
That's right. Exactly. Let's get one more bit of sales run before we fold it all out. My goodness, crazy. All right, last thing. Where do we sit year to date? We're now at 4.3% for the year on the Dow. S&P's up 1.7. Russell 2000 8.4. The old goose egg up on the unchanged line for the year. Pretty good stuff going on there. All right, let's get into our topic. We told you what happened today, just in the insurance side of things. So let's recap very quickly, and I'll handle this, Dennis, so we don't waste time. What we covered last Monday when we started this topic. We once again we touched on a number of different areas in regards to AI and how it's influencing the financial area. So we talked about AI powered financial planning, making advice more personalized. Again, we're using it in our firm thanks to Dennis's knowledge and teaching us so many things. But it's so easy for us now to see the spending habits of our clients, the cash flow, debt structures, so on and so forth. So very important there. Number two, it's improving investment and risk management decisions. As I mentioned here, and I want to mention it again. The SEC, which now we are, of course, SEC registered investment advisors. This is something that we prepare for when our annual audit time comes with them. And that is, are you using AI to make your client's investment decision? And the answer is, you better say, yeah, we're using it, but the human being element is making the final decision. That's what they want to see. You better not, if you're managing money, I don't care how big or how small you are, you better not be relying solely upon AI because it is not accurate. It can open your eyes to a lot of things, but can basically identify different risk and allocation stress tests, so on and so forth. But boy, oh boy, you better have the human intervention there. All right. When we come back, let's move on to where do you want to go? You want to go wealth building habits through micro nudges and automation? Want to touch on that?
Do you know what that is?
Not really. I can't wait to learn it from you. Dr. Dennis Sanchez, our very special guest. All right, let's turn it over to Jack Sabin. He's got news, traffic, and weather. Hello, Jack. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with my brother, Dr. Dennis Sanchez. We're getting into how AI is shaping the financial markets, your life, etc. Once again, a 20-point gain on the Dow. The Nasdaq rose 207. The S&P higher by 32. All right, bro, let's get into this topic here. I'm anxious to learn this one. Again, we're picking up from where we left last Monday. By the way, if you missed the first 3 points, please go back and listen to our podcast and where we covered those 3 points in depth. But here we go, brand new. Wealth building habits through micro nudges and automation. Lay it on me.
So, do you know what a nudge is? So, when you hear the word nudge, it's kind of friendly, right? It's not somebody
I
hitting
don't
you over
picture
the
that. I
head
picture
with
a
it.
cow. I picture a
No,
cowboy boot and kicking somebody in the butt to nudge them to get them to do what you want them
that's
to
a
do. So,
cowboy nudge in Nevada. That's they have a whole different definition for it. What? So, nudges actually are are fall into the psychological area because they change behavior. But it's a very, very nice, friendly way to change behavior. So, in this context, we're talking about, John, you get your paycheck, and then get this little
I get
message that
what?
says you
I
get
get
it.
what? I get what?
You, just pretend,
If I was
okay?
an employee, if I was an
Okay,
employee,
it's
I would get a
me. I
paycheck.
get my paycheck,
It's you. You
and
get
when
your
I get
paycheck.
it,
Everybody else gets the
I
paycheck.
deposit it. Remember,
Yes.
I would get a little message that says, "Dennis, shouldn't you save 150 this week? Wouldn't that be a good idea?" Oh God, that's a nudge.
That's a
Dennis,
nudge.
shouldn't you? You're looking at three or four of these different things. Shouldn't you? What about your budget? Do they fall into your
Yeah,
budget? That's nudging. So there are
that's
actually
right.
programs that will do that know your
Of course there
because they
is.
can look at your patterns and spending habits, things like that. Nudges are friendly though. That's the
Yep.
key.
Yeah, and that's a great analogy. I had a feeling that's where you were going to go with this when you started explaining it further. Another prime example, even the government's getting into this, folks, because if you notice, many plans now. Matter of fact, it's almost, I think it's mandated, if I remember correctly. Reason I'm not 100% sure because all of our employees contribute to our 401k. But employers now that offer 401ks, they have what's called auto enrollment, which is a forced 401k savings. You, as the employee, can opt out of it, but there's a micro nudge. Automated savings, right? I got $50 coming out of my checking account into my investment account or my brokerage account or my IRA. That's a micro nudge. On and on and on. So you're right. I mean, but I'm going to criticize you just a little bit. How you throwing AI into that, because that's been around, automated savings and things that's been around for
Well,
years. So what's your take on
there's
the AI side of it?
a fine line between a lot of AI is automation. And in fact, sometimes you just need automation and you don't need AI, but it's when it gets a lot smarter. Automation typically up before AI is just directed to do certain things. And if maybe there's two or three different paths it can take, but AI will actually, the difference is it will learn what your habits are.
Yes.
And
Okay, there
your
you go.
patterns.
There's the
That's
difference.
the
There's
difference.
the
It's going to
difference.
know that Hermano's going to know that this is how
Hey, you went out and
he's,
went out to dinner too many times last week. Stop
hmm
it.
he's going
Yep.
to ask you. Yeah, that's
Yep.
the difference.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great explanation there. Now I guess, let's see, there was something else I was going to ask you. We're this one final thing from our perspective. So we recently purchased software. We have not rolled it out to our listeners or to our clients at this point, but I'll just say we're learning the software because it's very, very in depth. But we are now able to get, and we're going to roll this out to all of our clients, where we will be able to get a download. We call it data aggregation. It's been around for a while, well before AI. Data aggregation software where our clients will be able to, they'll sign up, we never see their password, but they'll be able to download their checking account balance, their 401k balance, basically all of their assets, real estate, etc., all their liabilities every single night. Now, why is that important? Because it allows us as the financial advisor to look at their whole entire picture, right? It's what we call a holistic plan. Then we implement in AI and other softwares to, again, continuously update their financial plan. Because like you just said, if I write a financial plan the old-fashioned way today and I don't implement AI into it, guess what? We've got to update it whenever you have a major life change or, every year, every couple of years, whatever it is. Well, obviously your balances change. They go up, they go down. But with AI and data aggregation, et cetera, now it's real time. The clients will then be able to log into their account and be able to see a net worth statement, a balance sheet, their cash flows, everything. So there's another example of how we're using it or starting to use it soon in our firm.
Can they see that information on their phone too? Can they log in?
You better believe it. Beautiful app. Yep.
Great.
Beautiful app. Yep. Absolutely. Frankly, there is a downside, which is this. Most people will make more money on an annual basis in their 4K from a performance standpoint than they will in an account that they're actively investing and trading, right? They're trying to play stock jock, as we call it. Because most people, it's very difficult to beat the market, right? But the 401k, it's for savings. You're buying, your dollar cost averaging in every paycheck. So you're buying, sometimes your shares are lower, sometimes they're higher, so on and so on. So it gives a lot of the great basics that people should adhere to when they're investing their own money outside of a qualified plan like a 401k. So that's why they tend to do quite a bit better. Also, most 401ks offer institutional level pricing, right, for the mutual funds and things. So what am I meaning with all this? Well, the idea is with automated savings and the micro nudges, as you're talking about, that does a lot of things, like you said, from the human element. And I think probably the other, you being a psych PhD or psych doctor, and that is, guess what? It's out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why there's been one of the greatest advantages of investing in a 401k. You forget about it. You adapt
Yeah.
your personal budget. It's like, I don't have that $150 a paycheck. So there's a lot of great things about it, and it's only going to get better through AI. There's just no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's
great
really
point.
building on something that's already an established benefit. I think
Yes.
everybody would agree that if it just comes out of the paycheck, I don't even think about it, you're going to save
Sure.
it faster.
That's right. That's right.
But it's going deeper into other parts of your life. So it might even
Yes.
remind you to take your wife out on, have a date night, something like that.
Sure. Friday night
Because you can
sushi.
see you haven't spent any money in restaurants.
Hey, are you looking at my personal budget? You're right. I remember the last time I've been to a restaurant. Oh, that's good stuff. All right.
Can't hear you.
Segment. Oh, I do apologize.
That's okay.
There we go. Sorry. I had to mute myself for the cough. We're going to get to this final point, which is faster financial learning and literacy gains. And we're going to finish up this segment on this and then come back and wrap up the show on this, because this is a big topic that is near and dear to our heart, right? That's the reason we do this radio show every day. We don't do it to hear ourselves talk, show you how smart we are. We do it because we have a driven passion that we want to help all of you. We want to educate you every day. That's why I've been behind this microphone for 30 some odd years now, right? Every single day, because I love teaching. Jason loves teaching. Dennis loves teaching. That is the reason we do this. So let's get into how AI can help our financial literacy and literacy gains. So your first bullet point, Dennis, is AI tools help people research and build savings/investing plans, potentially improving financial resilience and literacy.
So think about what your database looks like now, all of the different sources for information compared to 5 years ago when it was, it was
2 years ago.
The internet was huge, have all those, but now it's the internet and it's the databases that have been built around these products they're giving you that information very, very quickly, and it's only going to get larger. But there is a downside to it, and we both have experienced that, and I'm sure some other people have too, which is sometimes we find ourselves buried in too much information.
Yes.
I don't think we've
Analysis
learned yet
paralysis.
how to manage that.
Human brain can't work that fast. I don't care how smart you are. You can be a genius. Human brain cannot work as fast as a computer can. It's literally impossible. I know. Well, I'll give you a prime example. Dennis and I are working on a major project. We have not had a day off in 45 days or something, 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. But, when I type a question into Chat GPT, I'll type in like this weekend, I'll give you an example. I had a very lengthy question that I needed some advice on, some ideas on. And Dennis, it was probably, oh my gosh, we'll call it maybe a 4-inch long sentence, because that's kind of how it fills in. And probably, one of them was like 10 inches long, right? It was a very detailed, lots of questions within a question. And as soon as you hit the down arrow, which means, to submit it, it hit me. It's like Hermano comes back and answers that question faster than I could probably read just the first 2 sentences. So he's not only read it, but he has given the advice on there and the analysis and everything that I wanted and the ideas. Again, human brain just can't work that fast. And we deal with that, again, as people always hear me talking about, in the market, right? Human beings are battling the algorithms and the bots and everything out there. Same thing. I use this example a million times. I'll say it 1,000,001, which is, it's so fast now trading. When we trade, literally the minute we hit I'll say the buy button, which there really isn't one, you do a buy order, hit enter, the order's executed, nanosecond. But these institutions, if you want to do something fun, everyone, I don't know if many of you have quote systems. You probably don't, like a Fidelity or Schwab or something. But go into what's called time and sales if your quote system allows this, and you can see every single order. If you have what's called level 2 quotes, you can see every order that's coming through. It shows you the dollar amount of the order, the size, and then it'll give you a code as to what market maker was trading this. And literally, it looks like the odometer on a car going about 500 miles an hour. Human beings couldn't do that. And I'll share a very funny story that happened to me over the weekend regarding how, like to your point, how different things are today versus when I got started in the business. My wife Megan and I were sitting down having we get up very early. We're sitting on the porch having coffee at 4:30 Saturday morning, and somehow we got on the subject about how technology is different today in my world, financial world and investing and portfolio management versus when I got started in 1993. And it just brought back all these memories. So I'll share that with you. Just to your point, it's amazing to think where we were and where we are now. Yeah, it's a fun topic. All right, let's wrap it up with Kristen Snow right now. Traffic Center, Kristen. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk CKOH, as we do each and every Monday. My brother, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor, has joined us for our AI Monday segment. Once again, we finished up 20 on the Dow, rose 207 on the NASDAQ, and higher by 33 on the S&P 500. How AI is shaping the financial world, the financial well-being, your life, however you want to phrase the last part of that sentence. Yeah, you know what? I can squeeze a story in. I'll make it real short. So back to I've got to say this because it ties into what we're So especially our younger listeners, so you have an appreciation of what you have now. So again, sitting on the porch of my cabin on Saturday morning, 4:30, having coffee with my wife, and got on the subject about how technology has changed from when I got in the business in 1993. So remember, my first 5 years, I was with Shearson Lehman Brothers, which got bought, ended up being Smith Barney. That's the first 5 years, then I went independent. So she said, you didn't have internet back then, 93. I said, nope, no internet. She goes, how did you guys do orders? I said, it was really, really bizarre. And I was like, oh my God, it all came out of my brain. So literally, here's what would happen. The client would call in and say, okay, I want to buy 100 shares of I'll say Chevron, 100 shares of Chevron. We would have a small form, duplicate, of course, and we would write time, the client's name, time, their account number, what they wanted to buy. Commissions in those days were phenomenal. I mean, my gosh, you could make $300 or $400, right? Some of the established brokers, I remember when I was young, I'm like, these guys were making like $4,000, $5,000 a day, just trading stocks all day, but no more commissions anymore. That's gone by the wayside thanks to technology. So you write this order out. Then you walk. I was in a bullpen with a bunch of other young brokers. Then you walk to the front of the office, and there was a cage, like the old-fashioned banking cages where you had the bars going up and down. And there were two ladies sitting behind there, and they were the cashiers and the wire operators. You hand them this duplicate trade order, buy 100 shares of Chevron, and they literally type it in on a computer, that bizarre-looking computer. And then you would have to wait until they got confirmation back from the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ what your order was filled. Okay. So we would have little boxes set up. We had 35 brokers in the office. We'd have all these little boxes set up like mail boxes, right? And you just keep checking your boxes. Like, is my order filled? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. My order's in there. You'll pick it up. Then what we would do, we had a ledger book. Okay. Little tiny ledger book. Alphabetized. You had, A through Z. So you go, let's say it was John Smith. So you go to S, you find John Smith, you got to thumb through all of your S's, right? You find John Smith's account. And every order, buy or sell, we had to hand write it into that book. Same thing. What was the time? What was the order price? Was it a market order, limit order? Everything right there on one line. Just one line is all you had. And that was it. That's how. Then you have to pick up the phone and call your client. And databases were just barely starting to come along at that point. And then she said, what about the quotes? And I said, well, first of all, clients, they would look at the newspaper, I was in Bakersfield, it was the Bakersfield newspaper. They'd look at the quotes the next day to see how their portfolio did. But we had a group of, bunch of old guys that had nothing better to do. And they would come into the lobby every single day and stand there in the lobby with their cup of coffee. It was a great routine. And every brokerage firm has this. They'd come into the lobby for about 2 or 3 hours, and they'd write down, because we had some very old computers that they could actually type in and barely determine what the quote was on their stocks from the previous day. Nothing live. And then the last thing, we had the crawl, right? So if you look at some of the financial channels, as you see the stock prices going across, and literally because we didn't have quotes, we'd have to wait till the stock you're interested in comes across the crawl to figure out where it is. And now you can trade right on your phone. So my point of that was about 36 years ago. Imagine where we're going to be, bro. Financial literacy,
right,
trade, everything.
Your eyeglasses to the computer for the order.
I met a friend yesterday that came to our house for Super Bowl, and he had the Meta glasses, and he's like, you see this light go off, and I go, what'd you do? He goes, I just took a picture of you. Now I'm watching you on video through his glasses. Getting old. All right, we got to fly, man. Great stuff. The literacy is very important. We all know we're going to continue getting everybody smart on through AI and financial literacy. Love you, bro. Talk to you soon.
Love you.
God bless everybody. See you tomorrow on the Jon
Take care
Sanchez
now.
Show.
Jon Sanchez is a registered investment advisor, and the opinions expressed by Sanchez Gaunt Capital Management, LLC on this show are their own and do not reflect the opinions of News Talk 780 or its parent company, Cumulus Media. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for any individual. Listeners are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.